After failing my 99th strategy mission and divorcing the cold-blooded female CEO from our marriage first love later setup, I completely threw in the towel. Overnight, I sought out the system and applied to give up on conquering the great Empress Serafina. I just wanted to be sent back home to soothe my wounded soul. But the system was utterly ruthless. It forced me to carefully review my mistakes and take this final 100th chance to restart the mission seriously. However, I couldn't care less. I planned to completely slack off and do a speed run of this playthrough. My only desire was to get divorced early and go home. So this time around, when the female lead went east, I marched west. When the male assistant framed me, I happily confessed. When her white moonlight first love faked an illness, I just giggled. Just when I was waiting for the system to announce my mission failure and send me packing, the female lead suddenly ditched her destined male protagonists, tackled me to the ground with red eyes, and started demanding intense smooches from me. What in the actual heck? No, wait, system! We agreed on a cheesy melodrama plot. How did this turn into a PG-13 pushing the limits scene? Inside the company's conference room, the female CEO, Serafina, slammed her palm onto the conference table. With an ashen face, she demanded, "Caspian, why did you set up a trap to frame Florian?" Looking at the furious Serafina, I merely let out a massive yawn and nonchalantly continued scrolling on my phone. This exact scene again. This exact line again. I've heard it 99 times. Today officially makes it a clean 100. Even if Serafina wasn't annoyed saying it, I was almost puking from hearing it. "Caspian, I am asking you a question. What kind of attitude is this?" Seeing my half-asleep, couldn't-care-less demeanor, Serafina's face instantly darkened. Seeing this, the guy standing next to Serafina, the one who always wore a flowery shirt, looking like a harmless soft boy, green tea male assistant, Florian, immediately shot me a provocative smirk, but I was too lazy to even acknowledge his existence. Think back to the past. The very first time I experienced this plotline, I was full of ambition. I argued on the basis of reason, trying to talk sense into Serafina. The second time, I even collected solid evidence of Florian framing me in advance. Around the 50-something time, I absolutely could not tolerate it anymore, and straight up rushed over to give both Serafina and Florian a giant slap across their faces. But the result was always exactly the same. Any defense or evidence I presented, in her eyes, were completely fake. In the end, it always resulted in her affection meter dropping to 0, ending in our divorce, and declaring my strategy mission a failure. So for this 100th strategy attempt, I straight up chose to embrace the rot. Conquer her? Whoever wants to do it can go ahead and do it. I just want to rush through the divorce process, let the system declare my mission a failure, and then pack me up and send me back to my original world. Snapping back to reality, I lazily nodded my head and opened my mouth. All right, I heard you. Everything you say is right. I did it. It was all me. I was jealous that Florian is more capable than me. I was green with envy that he has more of your trust than I do. So I framed him, suppressed him, and wanted to kick him out of the company. A guy like me has terrible moral character, low abilities, and is simply a disgrace to the company. I am even less worthy of being your husband, so I am applying for voluntary resignation to apologize for my sins. Is that satisfactory, CEO Serafina? The moment my words fell, the conference room fell into a dead silence. Seeing me confess to absolutely everything in one breath, the bellyful of gaslighting lines that Florian had been brewing instantly got stuck in his throat. His face turned completely red from holding it in. Serafina was also stunned, her brows furrowed tightly. It seemed she also didn't expect that I would confess so smoothly and cleanly, just when I thought she would use this excuse to tell me to get lost. Serafina stared at me with a face full of suspicion. "Caspian, what exactly are you trying to do? Are you dissatisfied with your salary and benefits? Or do you feel the work pressure is too high?" I immediately rolled my eyes. "Oh, my dear lady, in the past, every time you wanted to comfort your green tea male assistant, you couldn't wait to sweep me out the door instantly. Why is it that this time, when I am voluntarily rolling out of here, you are suddenly unhappy about it? Women's suspicion is truly heavy." I immediately threw my hands up, and with a face full of innocence, I said, "I'm not trying to do anything. I violated company regulations, caused a terrible impact on the company, so I am voluntarily resigning. Isn't this procedure totally normal?" While speaking, I also pulled out a pre-prepared divorce agreement from my pocket and slapped it onto the table. "Oh, right. Sign this while you're at it. Don't worry, I don't want a single penny. As long as you agree, that's enough." The moment he saw the divorce agreement, Florian's eyes instantly lit up. But verbally, he still hypocritically started his performance. "Bro Caspian, don't be like this. CEO Serafina is just angry for the moment. There's no need for you to escalate this to the point of divorce. How about we just let this go? I'm totally fine. I can see that Bro Caspian didn't do it on purpose." Hearing Florian's green tea gibberish, my heart was instantly filled with wild joy. Yes. This flavor is absolutely correct. Just like that, keep adding fuel to the fire. Hurry up and make Serafina lose her mind from anger so she signs the agreement. That way, I can go home early, wash up, and go to sleep. I looked at Serafina with full expectation. Sure enough, her chest was heaving violently from anger. Her hands were tightly gripping that divorce agreement. Seeing her looking like she was about to explode with a darkened face, my heart bloomed with joy. It's a success! This time I will definitely break the record. Divorcing at light speed less than 10 minutes into the opening, the legend of the fastest mission failure in history is about to be created by yours truly. Just as I was already considering whether to play a couple rounds of games or grab skewers with my bros when I got home, in the very next moment, a crisp, ripping sound suddenly echoed in my ears. I followed the sound, but the smile on my face instantly froze. Serafina had actually ripped the divorce agreement on the table into two halves. For a moment, the other people in the conference room didn't even dare to breathe loudly. I was dumbfounded on the spot. What kind of crazy pill did this woman just swallow? My fully cooked duck. Oh no. My ticket home that was already in my hands just flew away like that? In the next moment, Serafina stood up directly and walked toward me. She grabbed my collar and demanded, "Just you alone. Couldn't have done this so flawlessly. Speak. Who is your accomplice?" I let out an ah to express my utter confusion. I was silenced by her god-tier mental gymnastics. "Sis, where on earth would I get an accomplice? My only accomplice is myself and this heart that desperately wants to go home." I decided to increase the intensity and pour more dirty water on myself. I don't have an accomplice. It was truly done by me alone. They say you can know a person's face but not their heart. A guy like me is actually just this evil, arrogant, bullying others with power, committing all sorts of wicked deeds. My crimes are too numerous to record. I am the undisputed #1 toxic tumor of this company. Keeping me is a disaster. Not only am I unworthy of staying in the company, I am even less worthy of being your husband. My passionate and generous speech almost had me believing it myself. But in the surroundings, someone couldn't hold it in and laughed out loud. Immediately after, the shoulders of several high-level executives in the conference room started shaking up and down. Serafina's face instantly grew even darker. She slammed the table again and shouted, "Be serious. I am not here to listen to your stand-up comedy. Speak quickly. Who else in the company participated in the scheme to frame Florian?" Seeing the situation going south, Florian started his hypocritical performance again. "How about we just forget it? I believe Bro Caspian is—" "Shut up!" Serafina coldly cut him off. A trace of absolute determination flashed in her eyes. "This matter, I must investigate until the truth comes to light. Get the surveillance footage from the warehouse entrance that day and bring it up for me." Florian's face instantly turned green. My heart also skipped a beat. Oh crap, if the surveillance is checked, wouldn't Florian's little tricks be completely exposed? If he's exposed, it proves that I was framed. If I was framed, how can I justifiably resign and get divorced? No way. I almost beat Florian to the punch and hurriedly closed Serafina's laptop. "You can't check it. I already pleaded guilty. The witnesses and physical evidence are all here. What else is there to check on the surveillance? Hurry up and fire me. Divorce me. Then this matter will be completely settled." But the more I tried to stop her, the more suspicious Serafina's gaze toward me became. She probably thought, since I was trying so desperately to protect my accomplice, then this so-called accomplice was definitely not just one person, but a massive toxic tumor within the company. "You want to cover up for your accomplice, right? Today, I absolutely must check it." Without another word, she picked up the phone and connected to the security department. Soon, the large screen in the conference room displayed the surveillance video of the warehouse from that day. We saw Florian sneaking around, moving a batch of defective raw materials into the warehouse. Then, he skillfully ripped off the seal that I had signed and stuck it onto the boxes of defective goods. The whole process was in high definition without any censorship. It even clearly captured the piece of vegetable leaf stuck to his teeth when he smiled his wicked, arrogant smile. For a moment, the eyes of everyone in the conference room focused on Florian's deathly pale face. Florian instantly panicked and started explaining incoherently. "No, it's not, CEO Serafina. Listen to me explain. There's a misunderstanding here. Someone forced me to do it. Shut up!" Serafina had lost all desire to keep listening. She wasn't even willing to give him another glance. Looking at Florian, who was momentarily at a loss, I couldn't help but sigh. "I give up! This generation of green tea male assistants is truly uncarryable. His character model looks decent enough, so why is his IQ equivalent to a rotten sweet potato dug out from the dirt?" My face was pitch black, looking like I had lost all will to live, but Serafina misunderstood. She quickly walked up to me, and for the first time, an apologetic look appeared on her face. "I'm sorry, Caspian. This time, I was indeed too hasty in my judgment. As compensation, whatever demands you have, you can raise them all." Light instantly reignited in my eyes. I suddenly lifted my head, grabbed her wrist, and asked, "Really? Anything at all?" Serafina was startled by my reaction, but she still nodded seriously. "As long as it's something I can do." "Fantastic." With a backhand motion, I whipped out another divorce agreement. Along with a pen, I shoved it into her hand. "Then hurry up and sign this. I don't want anything else. I just want this." Serafina was speechless. The apology on her face instantly froze. She looked at me with complex emotions. "How do you still have backups of this?" I generously opened my bag directly. It was stuffed to the brim with at least dozens of identical divorce agreements. The corner of Serafina's mouth twitched. She probably thought I was still throwing a tantrum and was using this method to vent my dissatisfaction. After a moment of silence, she took a checkbook out of her bag, wrote down a string of numbers, and handed it to me. "Take this. Consider it compensation." I took a glance at it. There were actually 6 zeros behind the first digit. In the past, I would have gone crazy with joy. But right now, am I lacking this bit of money? What I lack is freedom. I took the check and simply tore it into tiny pieces right in front of her face. "I told you, I don't want money. I want a divorce." Amidst the shredded pieces of the check, Serafina was completely stunned. She probably never imagined that I could be so obsessed with the idea of divorce. In a daze, the guilt in Serafina's eyes deepened. In the next moment, she turned her head to look at Florian, who had already peed his pants from fear. She asked, "How do you want to dispose of him?" My brain immediately started spinning at top speed. Florian, this male assistant, although a bit stupid, still had his uses. If he stayed by my side, he could continue to create conflicts between me and Serafina. He could add bricks and tiles to my grand divorce project. If he got fired, Serafina would lose someone who sows discord around her. What if one day her brain short-circuits, she falls for my handsome face, and refuses to let me go? What then? Snapping back, I cleared my throat and started spouting nonsense, I think. Although Florian made a mistake, there are extenuating circumstances. Furthermore, his abilities are outstanding. He is a pillar of the company. Firing him over such a trivial matter is the company's loss. In my opinion, not only should we not fire him, we should give him a promotion and a raise. Even give him some company shares. The more I spoke, the more enthusiastic I got, almost praising Florian up to the heavens. But after Serafina finished listening, she looked at me with a "you are definitely still angry" expression. She immediately announced, "Florian, you are fired. Go to the HR department and process your paperwork right now. Get out of here right now." Looking at Serafina's resolute and decisive appearance, I was completely dumbfounded. This guy is a strong contender for the male lead. If you fire him, how am I supposed to get divorced and leave this hellhole? Wait, CEO Serafina, please reconsider. Florian is very useful to the company. If it weren't for him, how could the company have secured so many collaborations? I blocked Serafina's path, advising her with bitter earnestness. But she just stared at me blankly, as if she had understood something. I suddenly had a bad premonition. Sure enough, Serafina was silent for a moment, then suddenly patted my shoulder and said, "Caspian, you were harmed to this extent by him, yet you can still be so magnanimous, so rationally thinking for the company's sake. Having an employee like you is my and the company's blessing. From today onward, Caspian's annual salary is doubled. Additionally, instantly transfer 5% of my shares to Caspian. From now on, he is the company's vice CEO." Saying that, she kicked the paralyzed Florian on the floor. "Go, apologize to Vice CEO Caspian. Thank him for overlooking your past faults. Otherwise, I would have blacklisted you from the industry right now." I had a face full of confusion. Florian also had a face full of confusion. Did Serafina pick up the wrong script this time? Isn't this her line for defending Florian? And Florian looked like he wanted to swallow me alive on the spot. But he dared to be angry but didn't dare to speak. He could only grit his back teeth and apologize. "I'm sorry." I could only sigh helplessly. "It's fine, little bro. Keep up the good work. Be a bit smarter next time. Strive to take me down early and successfully usurp my position." Florian's face turned even greener. He probably thought I was mocking him, trembling all over with anger. But I couldn't be bothered to guess his thoughts anymore. Since the divorce didn't work out, I might as well go home early and sleep. By the time I got home, the sky was completely dark. I walked into the bedroom, skillfully picked up my own pillow and blanket, preparing to make do on the sofa for the night. After all, in this marriage first love later plotline, even though Serafina and I had been married for years, we hadn't even shared a peck on the lips, let alone sleep in the same bed. But just as I walked to the door, I was stopped by a cold, clear voice. "Where are you going?" Serafina had returned at some unknown time and was leaning against the doorframe looking at me. I shook the pillow in my hand and said, "To the living room. I'm sleeping on the sofa tonight." Serafina was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, "No, but I want to. I don't want to." I couldn't help but furrow my brows. What happened to the iceberg female CEO? Why is she starting to act like a rogue? My temper flared up too. "Whether I want to or not is up to me to decide." Saying that, I yanked the blanket forcefully, heading straight for the living room. But Serafina lost her balance and got tripped by me. Her whole body fell toward me. I reflexively tried to catch her, but ended up losing my own balance as well. In the end, I was on the bottom, she was on top, and we both crashed onto the floor. For a moment, our eyes met, and the atmosphere was quite awkward. Buzz, buzz. Suddenly, Serafina's phone, which had fallen on the floor, vibrated. It broke this awkward atmosphere. It was a text message. My eyes were sharp, and I instantly caught a glimpse of the sender's name. Valerian. My eyes instantly lit up. Hasn't my grand savior finally arrived? I violently jolted up and sat straight. My chin smacked solidly against Serafina's forehead. She inhaled sharply in pain and asked, "Why are you suddenly so excited?" But when she saw the message on her phone screen that read, "I've returned to the country. Is it convenient for you to come pick me up?" she instantly froze on the spot. "Caspian." Just as she was about to open her mouth to explain, I smiled like a 300-pound child. It's fine. Hurry up and go. I'll watch the house all by myself. Your white moonlight finally returned to the country. How could you not go see him?" Looking at my unusually excited appearance, Serafina's gaze actually became guarded. She probably thought I was still mad about what happened during the day and was intentionally using this method to test her. Instead, she put her phone away. "Caspian, he and I no longer have any relationship. Considering his health condition, I will send a separate driver to pick him up." "How can that be okay?" I interrupted her directly. "He traveled from so far away to come back, and you only send a driver. How heartbreaking would that be?" Without allowing any argument, I grabbed the car keys from the table, pulled her hand, and ran toward the garage. Let's go! It's so cold outside. If we're any later, your white moonlight will turn into an old popsicle." And so, Serafina was dragged behind me, looking at me with a complex gaze. No one knew what she was thinking. Just arriving at the airport from afar, we could see a handsome guy with chiseled features standing at the exit looking around. It was exactly one of Serafina's official male leads, her white moonlight, Valerian. The moment Valerian saw Serafina, he instantly let out a gentle smile. "Serafina, you still came after all. but the moment he saw me standing beside her, the smile on his face froze. Why did he stop reciting his lines? Seeing both him and Serafina shooting awkward glances at me, I quickly took 2 steps back. Excuse me, haha, just pretend I don't exist. Hug if you need to, kiss if you must. Hurry up and go through the reconciliation process. Don't waste time. Serafina's look toward me grew even more complex. After a moment of silence, she also took 2 steps back to stand with me. She looked coldly at Valerian and said, "You should know, back when my parents' company was leaderless, and you left the country without a word, everything between us was already in the past." Hearing this, Valerian's face stiffened, but I hurriedly added, "Don't jump to conclusions so quickly. Maybe there are some hidden circumstances, like accidentally getting cancer, and actually being afraid of dragging you down or something." Right after I said that, Valerian shot me an eerily weird glance. Then he sighed. "Serafina, don't misunderstand. I came back this time, not to disrupt your life, but just to treat my illness." Serafina was suddenly stunned. "You're sick?" Valerian nodded. "A very rare heart disease," the doctor said. "My days are numbered. They advised me to return to the country for conservative treatment." He paused, then added, "Unless I can find someone with the same rare panda blood type as me to be a heart donor, but I have already given up hope." After saying that, he even cooperatively let out a tragic pale smile, looking exactly like someone who was ready to face death with tranquility. But Serafina seemed to have thought of something. Her gaze whooshed over to me and she said, "Panda blood, isn't that—" I, who was previously feeling sleepy, instantly perked up. According to the experience from the previous 99 times, next, Serafina would beg me to donate my heart. As compensation, she would give me an artificial heart and grant my every request. Of course, in the past, it wasn't like I hadn't refused. I even tried to expose Valerian's scam of faking an illness. The result was that Serafina directly sent people to knock me out and tie me to an operating table. Once the anesthesia was pushed in, they forcefully ripped my heart out. Anyway, extending the neck gets a chop, shrinking the neck also gets a chop. I might as well take the initiative and give myself a quick end. Agree to the transplant early, get divorced, and go home to sleep. Snapping back, I immediately chimed in. "I am willing." Serafina was stunned. "I haven't even said what it is yet. What if it's something that will cause massive harm to your body?" A trace of reluctance flashed in her eyes, but I simply mimicked what I had learned and gazed deeply into her eyes. "It doesn't matter. As long as it's for you, even if it means death, I am willing." Serafina was completely dumbfounded. She looked at me with complex emotions, as if it were her first time meeting me. After a long silence, she asked in a hoarse voice, "What compensation do you want?" I instantly whipped out my precious divorce agreement once again. "Divorce! This is my one only wish. I beg you to grant it to me." I handed the pen right in front of her, my eyes filled with the absolute yearning to go home. Serafina, however, fell silent once again. She looked at the agreement in my hand, but delayed taking the pen. After a long while, she shook her head and said, "This matter, I will consider it more carefully." A hint of displeasure flashed in Valerian's eyes, but he still pretended to be magnanimous. "Serafina is right. You shouldn't force people into these kinds of things. Furthermore, Mr. Caspian is still Serafina's husband. How could I snatch away someone else's true love?" He then turned to issue an invitation to Serafina. "We haven't seen each other in so long. How about tomorrow? We grab a meal together?" Serafina subconsciously looked at me again, but my heart was full of confusion. "Why do you keep looking at me? I'm not your dad." Serafina took a deep breath, as if she had made some kind of decision. Before she could finish her sentence, I hurriedly covered her mouth and shouted, "She's willing. Tomorrow at noon, right? She agrees. We will definitely be there." I cheerfully accepted on her behalf. Valerian froze for a second, then forced a nonchalant smile. But as he was leaving, he used a voice that only the two of us could hear to quietly warn me, "Caspian, stop showing off your affection in front of me. You can't beat me." The next day, I dragged a reluctant Serafina and arrived early at the Western restaurant Valerian had booked. This place was ridiculously high class. Even the door handles were gold. Valerian, however, familiarly signaled the waiter to serve the dishes. French escargot, top-tier caviar, Australian lobster. It was all rare delicacies. During the meal, Valerian deliberately showed off his deep understanding of Serafina. From her not eating cilantro, to her only adding 1 sugar cube to her coffee. I paid absolutely no attention to this. I just kept my head down and stuffed my face. Anyway, I was about to be sent away soon. It would be a waste not to eat. Meanwhile, the surrounding diners were all dressed glamorously, with elegant manners. The way they looked at me was like looking at a country bumpkin who just fell from the sky. They whispered, "That guy doesn't even know how to use a knife and fork. So funny. Yeah, look at the way he's eating the lobster, like he's been starving for 3 days." The fragmented, mocking noises entered our ears. Valerian hooked the corner of his lips in disdain. He wiped his mouth with a napkin and said from a high horse, "Caspian, when you're out and about, you really should learn more about table manners. Otherwise, you're just a walking embarrassment to Serafina." The moment his words fell, with a loud clang, that eternally icy and self-restrained Serafina actually flipped the dining table directly. "Valerian, watch your mouth. Caspian is currently my husband." I was so shocked that the half-chewed piece of lobster meat in my mouth dropped right onto the floor. Isn't the script this time a bit too wild? During the previous 99 times, let alone flipping tables, her protection of Valerian was the textbook definition of afraid he'd melt in her mouth and afraid he'd break in her hands. How did her character persona collapse so completely this time? I quickly wiped my mouth, stood up, and tried to smooth things over. It's fine! It's fine! Mr. Valerian was just making a joke. I'm just like this, vulgar, unpresentable. How about you and Mr. Valerian continue eating? My stomach suddenly feels a bit uncomfortable. I'll take my leave first. I won't interrupt the elegant mood of you two. As I spoke, I kept winking at Valerian. If I stayed any longer, I was afraid Serafina would get agitated and flip me over next. But the moment I took a step forward, my wrist was grabbed by someone. Wait, I'm full too. Serafina coldly threw down that sentence and dragged me toward the exit. Passing by Valerian, she paused for a second and said in a strictly business tone, regarding your illness, I will find someone else to connect with you and provide you with the best treatment plan. However, Valerian, if there's nothing else, don't contact me again in the future. Valerian's face instantly turned green. He even forgot to say his lines, but his pair of venomous eyes glued onto my body tightly as if I had bulldozed his ancestors' graves. My heart felt so incredibly wronged. Wasn't this all because your own mouth was cheap and you just had to provoke this giant Buddha? You really can't be carried. Seeing Serafina about to drag me out of the restaurant, Valerian finally panicked. He hurriedly changed the subject and started his classic pity party. Serafina, don't misunderstand. I didn't mean anything else. I've already made preparations to die. It's just that, before I leave this world, I have one unreasonable request. Serafina's footsteps indeed stopped. Do you still remember our childhood promise? My eyes instantly lit up. I am so familiar with this plot. They played house as kids and promised to hold the grandest wedding in the world when they grew up. Next, Serafina will feel guilty and agree to this dying wish. And I, as her husband in name, wouldn't I be honorably discharged from my post? Steady. Everything is perfectly steady. I looked at Serafina excitedly, waiting for her to say the phrase, I remember. But Serafina was silent for a moment, then shook her head. I don't remember. I was stunned. Valerian was also stunned. No, wait. Why isn't this woman following the standard tropes? Before Valerian could open his mouth, I dashed back in a single bound and answered preemptively, I remember. You guys promised to hold a grand wedding when you grew up, right? Valerian couldn't help but freeze and asked, how do you know? I was too lazy to explain it to him. I looked at Serafina with a deadly serious face. Let's get divorced. Just consider it fulfilling his final dying wish. I reached back and whipped out my precious divorce agreement again and handed it to her. But Serafina furrowed her brows tightly. Caspian, everything between me and him is in the past. It's not in the past. Recalling the failure scenarios from past strategies, I immediately started arguing on Valerian's behalf. If it was in the past, why is there still a mulberry leaf bookmark he gave you, tucked into the title page of The Little Prince in your study? If it was in the past, why was the password to your office computer always his birthday before this? For a moment, Serafina looked at me in shock. You knew all of this? Valerian was confused again. After all, these were the exact lines he used to make Serafina stay during the previous 99 strategy runs. But quickly, he reacted and hypocritically declined. Serafina, forget it. Don't make things difficult for Caspian. No way, I interrupted him righteously. You must get married. Not only must you get married, you have to hold a grand wedding of the century. You must let people all over the world know and engrave your great love that transcends life and death. My spit flew everywhere. I spoke until I almost moved myself to tears. Serafina, however, looked at me with a complex expression. After a moment of silence, she slowly raised her hand. I was instantly so excited, my heart almost jumped out of my chest. I can finally go home. I can end this godforsaken strategy mission. Buzz, buzz. But in the next moment, Serafina's phone started vibrating urgently. In the end, Serafina didn't sign it. Instead, she answered the phone. The next second, an anxious voice from HR came through the phone. This is bad. Assistant Florian, he wants to jump off the company roof. My brain buzzed, and I almost fainted from anger on the spot. Florian! Why is it this lingering ghost of a guy interrupting my grand divorce scheme again? Serafina's face changed. She hastily apologized to Valerian and rushed out. Valerian snorted coldly behind my back. Consider yourself lucky to dodge a bullet. I couldn't be bothered with him. I chased right after Serafina and headed to the company. Downstairs at the company, a massive crowd had already gathered. On the rooftop, half of Florian's body was dangling outside. He shouted, "Don't come any closer. If you come closer, I'll jump." Serafina's face was deathly pale, holding a megaphone to persuade him. Florian, calm down. If you have issues, come down and let's talk about them properly. The hostage negotiators were also beside her, advising him bitterly. But Florian was completely impervious to logic. With snot and tears flying everywhere, he began his performance. I let you down. I let the company down. I just love you too much. I was jealous of Caspian. That's why I did something so foolish. I cannot forgive myself. I can only atone for my sins with death. Hearing this, my eyes lit up. This is a good thing. I quickly squeezed next to Serafina and shouted loudly, Florian, I understand your feelings now. To fulfill you and CEO Serafina, I am willing to step back. I will divorce CEO Serafina right now and give up my spot for you. Florian was stunned for a second, then looked completely disbelieving. I quickly waved the divorce agreement in my hand and then urged Serafina, hurry up and sign it. A human life is at stake here. That is a living, breathing human life. I practically used all the lines Serafina used to morally kidnap me during the previous 99 times he threatened to jump off a building. Then, I forcefully shoved the pen into her hand. But this time, Serafina looked at me hesitantly. A trace of reluctance flashed in her eyes. But treating you like this is unfair. It's fine, as long as you and the company are safe and sound. I don't care what happens to me. Serafina seemed to feel my determination. Gritting her teeth, she finally picked up the pen. A trace of smugness instantly flashed in Florian's eyes. I also felt this was absolutely locked in this time. But in the next moment, Serafina actually threw the pen off the roof. She grabbed the megaphone and said coldly, "I don't care anymore. If you want to jump, then jump." Florian was dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded too. This plot is wrong. According to the abusive romance novel tropes, shouldn't the female lead, in order to save her green tea male assistant, tearfully agree to all conditions? Why did she just let him die? And Florian also never expected Serafina to pull a move like this. He was faking it to begin with. Now he was completely stuck riding the tiger. He had to continue his pity act, but as a result his foot slipped and he actually fell. But fortunately, he had his male protagonist plot armor. He actually landed squarely without deviating an inch on the rescue air cushion below. I have to admit, these main characters are practically unkillable, but he probably took quite a heavy hit. He was instantly loaded into an ambulance. He won't be able to cause any more drama in the short term. I watched the departing ambulance, feeling a wave of speechlessness. Truly incompetent in success, but highly efficient in failure. Snapping back, Serafina had unknowingly gripped my hand tightly. She stared at me fixedly. "Caspian, no matter what happens in the future, you are not allowed to casually mention divorce again." I was somewhat surprised. Having tried to conquer her 99 times before, this was my very first time seeing Serafina like this. Could she have fallen in love with me? But I quickly dismissed that thought. She probably just received an emotional stimulus today, and her brain short-circuited for a moment. If she was truly this easy to conquer, I wouldn't have failed 99 times. Sure enough, after I followed her back to the office, she just sat on the sofa without saying a word, looking slightly dazed. But what surprised me was, Valerian actually came knocking on the door too. He probably thought the timing was perfect and he could swoop in while she was vulnerable. "Serafina, are you okay? Regarding the wedding arrangements, I feel like, get out!" Serafina suddenly raised her head and roared at him. Valerian was stunned at first. Then he threw a resentful glare at me, clearly assuming I was pulling strings behind the back. But quickly, as if he thought of something, he suddenly put on a sorrowful expression and said, "I'm sorry, Serafina. I was disturbing you. I will leave now. I wish you happiness." Saying that, he turned around to leave. I quickly took a step forward and blocked his way. "Mr. Valerian, don't go. Let's talk this out." Seeing me block him, the corner of Valerian's mouth hooked into a cold smirk. In the next second, his legs gave way. Clutching his heart, he collapsed toward me. A painful groan even escaped his mouth. Serafina's face changed drastically. She rushed over to support him. Valerian, only I, remained completely calm. I even wanted to laugh a little. Having gone through this strategy so many times, which direction he falls, at what angle, I remember it with crystal clarity. Next, he will hypocritically say I didn't lay a hand on him, taking the opportunity to add fuel to the fire and frame me for pushing him, and Serafina will treat me like a jealous murderer. Then we can finally get divorced. Sure enough, lying on the ground, Valerian immediately struck first to gain the upper hand. "Serafina, don't blame Caspian. It wasn't him who pushed me. I was just careless." Before he could finish, I excitedly interrupted. "I pushed him. If you don't believe me, you can check the security cameras right now." This time, I was brimming with confidence. During past strategies, I also tried using the cameras to prove my innocence, only to find out that the angle Valerian chose was perfectly set up to be a visual illusion. No matter how you looked at it, it seemed like I attacked first. He used this ironclad evidence to force Serafina to divorce me. But as soon as the words left my mouth, Valerian froze. He probably never expected I would actively confess. Serafina also furrowed her brows. After hesitating for a moment, she asked coldly, "Why did you push him? Didn't you know he has a heart condition?" I just grinned widely and said, "I know. I just wanted to kill him. Who told him to try and steal my wife?" Serafina's gaze instantly sharpened. She stared at me dead on, but my heart was blooming with joy. Valerian is her white moonlight. He's a piece of flesh in her heart she can never cut away. If I want to kill him, how could she not fight me to the death over it? But after a minute of silence, Serafina actually let out a helpless sigh. "Forget it. Nothing major happened anyway. Don't do it again." Valerian, lying on the floor, was dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded too. The previous 99 times, even if I accidentally scraped a tiny bit of skin off him, Serafina would practically want to drain my blood to apologize to him. This time I outright said I wanted to end his life and she just let it slide? Valerian immediately shot me a venomous glare. Then he started coughing violently. A trace of fresh blood even cooperatively trickled from the corner of his mouth. The fake doctors he arranged also burst through the door. "Oh no! Mr. Valerian is having a heart attack! We must resuscitate him immediately!" A flash of inspiration hit me. I immediately blocked the office doorway. "No way! If you don't sign the divorce agreement today, nobody is leaving through this door." Serafina looked at me in a tough spot, her face showing pain. "Caspian, must you force me to choose like this?" I felt a bit speechless. "What's there to struggle with? All those previous times, didn't you pick Valerian in a split second?" I nodded my head heavily. "That's right, you must choose." Serafina fell silent again and again. I was getting anxious. Valerian, lying on the floor, was getting anxious too. After all, he was faking it. If he kept lying there for half the day without dying, his fake illness would be completely exposed. Just when I thought this was going to fail again, Serafina finally compromised. She signed the divorce agreement. Her voice was hoarse. "Is it okay now?" I nodded excitedly. Soon, the fake doctors hauled the dying Valerian away. Right before leaving, he looked through the ambulance window and shot me a provocative smirk. But I was smiling too. I simply plopped down on the office sofa, happily waiting for the system to notify me of my mission failure and send me home. 1 minute, 5 minutes, until 10 minutes passed. The system didn't make a single peep. I raised my head in confusion, only to meet a pair of bloodshot eyes. Serafina had walked over to me at some point, just staring at me fixedly. Tears were pouring down my face like a broken faucet. Why? Caspian, why do you push me away time after time? Do you hate me that much? Resent me that much? Before I could open my mouth, she suddenly leaned over, pinned me to the sofa, and kissed me heavily. Before I could even process what was happening, a rich scent of jasmine hit my nose. My entire body froze on the spot. My brain's CPU was completely fried. What is this situation? The script clearly wasn't written like this. This is supposed to be a soul-stirring, gut-wrenching, life-or-death abusive romance drama. Why did it suddenly sprint toward PG-13 pushing the limits paid content? I violently snapped back to reality. I planted my hands on Serafina's shoulders and forcefully shoved her away. Wait, I panted heavily. I felt like my lips weren't even mine anymore. They were numb and burning. Serafina, being pushed away by me, stumbled back a step. But those bloodshot eyes were still locked onto me. In that gaze, the usual icy aloofness was gone, replaced by a kind of madness I had never seen before. She looked at me and suddenly began untying her hair on her own. I won't wait. As soon as she spoke, she lunged at me again. This time I was prepared. I tried to dodge to the side. But the office, to show off the CEO's prestige, was packed with useless art pieces and potted plants. It didn't leave me much room to dodge at all. In the end, I was pinned to the sofa by Serafina again. I swallowed hard and hurriedly asked, Serafina, are you crazy? But she just stared at me blankly, her eyes exceptionally serious. I am crazy. I was speechless. Great, I'm totally out of options. I can't hit her. I can't outrun her. Reasoning? What reasoning is there to have with a woman who admits she's crazy? I simply gave up struggling. Whatever. The wind howls, the river freezes, the brave warrior departs and never returns. I'll just pretend I was gnawed on by a passing stray dog. I don't know how long passed. Serafina finally restored her usual icy demeanor. She skillfully tied her hair back up. Glancing out the window, I realized the sun had already come up. Serafina and I sat side by side on the sofa. Neither of us spoke a word. The atmosphere was so awkward you could carve a 3-bedroom apartment out of the floor with your toes. I quietly turned my head and observed the woman beside me. Her hair stuck to her sweat-dampened cheeks. It made her lose a bit of the sharp edge of an Ice Mountain CEO and added an indescribable, alluring charm. But I wasn't in the mood to appreciate this right now. My mind had only one thought. Why the heck hasn't the dog system made a move yet? According to past experiences, Serafina already signed the divorce agreement. The system should have long declared my strategy a failure and packed me up to send me back to the real world, right? Why is it delaying so much this time? In the next moment, the long-lost system notification sound finally chimed in my head. But why does it sound a bit guilty? I immediately roared in my mind. You finally decided to show up. Enjoyed the show, didn't you? Why aren't you sending me home? Do you still want to hit your KPI or not? Host, please calm down. The system's voice was faltering. It's like this. According to the Time-Space Travel Execution Management Regulations, Chapter 8, Article 12 of the Supplementary Agreement, speak human, I interrupted it grumpily. The system's voice instantly weakened. It's just, you guys haven't gotten the actual divorce certificate yet. Even though you signed the agreement, legally speaking, you are still a legally married couple. We systems also have to follow the law and act on legal grounds, you know? Hearing this, I almost spat out a mouthful of ancient blood. Good heavens, I'm out here fighting for my life to go home, and you, a system with thick eyebrows and big eyes, are actually exploiting legal loopholes behind my back. Deep breath. Calm down. Caspian, you need to calm down. It's just taking the time to get a divorce certificate, right? Not a big deal. I violently sat up from the sofa, startling Serafina next to me, making her flinch. She looked at me with confusion. I ignored her. I went straight to pick up the divorce agreement she had just signed and slammed it solemnly in front of her. Let's go. We are going to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate handled right now. As I spoke, I started feeling for my phone. Serafina looked at my burning impatience and was completely stunned. She slowly sat up, biting her lower lip. After half a minute of silence, she suddenly snatched the divorce agreement from my hand and threw it straight into the paper shredder. Then she started playing dumb with me. What divorce agreement? I don't remember. I looked at the buzzing paper shredder and stared at her like she was an alien. What are you doing? Serafina felt guilty being stared at by me. Her eyes darted around. She didn't dare to meet my gaze. I was too emotional just now. My mind went completely blank. I don't remember anything. I laughed from anger. Truly. I pointed at her, my fingers trembling. Serafina, great CEO Serafina, you are a CEO of a listed company worth tens of billions, and you are playing dirty with me. When you signed it just now, it was bold and flourishing. Now you turn around, shred it, and tell me you don't remember? Do you think I, Caspian, am a massive idiot? Serafina shrank her neck after being yelled at. She simply turned her head away, pretending nothing happened. My heart felt incredibly stifled. Is this woman going through menopause? Her brain is starting to malfunction, just as I was preparing to continue arguing with her and let her witness what a true rogue looks like. Buzz. Buzz. Her phone tossed on the sofa suddenly vibrated. Serafina grabbed it like a lifesaver and hurriedly answered the phone. Dr. Lee? I don't know what was said on the other end, but Serafina's face instantly grew heavy again. Okay, I understand. She put the phone aside, looked up at me, her expression complex. It's from the hospital, the doctor, said Valerian woke up. His condition is temporarily stable. They want me to go over there. Hearing this, my eyes instantly lit up. Talk about someone's handing you a pillow just when you're feeling sleepy. Valerian, this white moonlight, although his brain isn't exactly brilliant, every time he appears, he accurately steps on the exact node for Serafina and me to divorce. He is simply my divorce catalyst. A free ride on the highway home. But looking at Serafina, why did her eyes carry a hint of imperceptible hesitation? She seemed reluctant to go. That absolutely won't do. I snatched her phone away and yelled passionately into the receiver. Copy that. We'll be right there. Please ensure Mr. Valerian keeps his emotions stable. Don't let him get agitated. CEO Serafina is setting off right now. Saying that, I hung up the phone directly. I grabbed Serafina's hand and pulled her outside. Let's go, let's go, let's go! What are you standing around for? Saving a life is like putting out a fire. Serafina, being dragged by me, had a face full of utter confusion. Why are you suddenly so concerned about Valerian's condition? I couldn't be bothered to explain. I randomly spouted a nonsense excuse. I'm just a kind-hearted person, okay? Enough talking. Get in the car. I'm about to step on the gas. A quarter of an hour later, I quickly brought Serafina to the hospital. Caspian, you go in first. I'll go buy a fruit basket and pay for his hospitalization fees while I'm at it. I didn't think much of it and nodded my head. I walked into Valerian's VIP ward by myself. As soon as I entered, I saw Valerian half leaning on the hospital bed, using his phone to send tips to a female streamer. He looked completely full of energy, not at all like a patient dying from a heart disease. Seeing that it was me who entered, he froze for a second, then sneered coldly. What? You came alone? Where's Serafina? Did she finally see your true colors and decide she doesn't want you anymore? Caspian, I told you long ago, in Serafina's heart compared to me, you are nothing. At best, you're just a replacement. Listening to his energetic provocation, my heart was burning with anxiety. My dear brother, keep your voice down. What if Serafina finishes paying the fees and here's this ugly side of yours? The louder you bark now, the more miserably you'll die later. Valerian, hurry up and shut your mouth. I lowered my voice and winked at him frantically. But Valerian thought I was hit where it hurts, and that I was feeling guilty. Instead, he smiled even more smugly. He even sat up straighter on the bed. He said disdainfully, What? The truth is too harsh for you to handle, too bad. Serafina's entire youth was filled with me. She's my ultimate loyal simp, and you are nothing but a pathetic loser taking the leftovers. Tisk, seeing how your face looks somewhat similar to mine, you're probably just a body double. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and leave Serafina's side. He was cursing with full enthusiasm when suddenly, with a squeak, the ward door was pushed open. Serafina stood at the door, her face as frosty as ice. Her expression was grim. Otherwise, what are you going to do to him? As Serafina's words fell, Valerian's originally smug face instantly froze. Serafina, listen to me explain. Things aren't what you think. I can explain. But Serafina walked up to the bed, looking down at him from a high position. Her eyes held absolutely no attachment. Only icy disappointment remained. Valerian, I never expected this. If I knew you were this kind of person, I shouldn't have saved you yesterday. Standing on the side, watching the tense atmosphere between Serafina and Valerian, I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Wait, this plot isn't right. Why is Serafina defending me? This generation of white moonlights is simply the worst class I have ever led. You hadn't even secured the win, and you popped the champagne at halftime. You ruined everything. Uncarryable. Truly uncarryable. Valerian was completely panicking now. His face shifted between green and white. He hastily grabbed the hem of Serafina's clothes and started the classic pity party apology segment. Serafina, I almost died yesterday, so my mind wasn't clear. I said those crazy things on a moment's impulse. Don't be mad at me. The current me just wants to spend my final moments by your side as a friend. He was so anxious that tears were about to fall. The moment he mentioned the word die, Serafina's expression finally softened a bit. She pulled her clothes out of his grasp. Taking a step back, she widened the distance between them. I understand. I will arrange the best doctors for you and use the best medicine. Rest easy and get treated. But from now on, don't contact me again, and don't contact him either. Just as Valerian was about to open his mouth to say something else, his gaze accidentally swept across Serafina's neck. In the next second, his eyes widened massively, as if he saw something absolutely unbelievable. He pointed at her neck, his voice trembling. Serafina, your neck is... Serafina froze. She subconsciously reached up to touch her neck. Right there, a blatant mark was left behind from when that dog and I were aggressively lip-locking in the office yesterday. Serafina's face instantly flushed red, from her cheeks all the way down to the roots of her ears. Ashamed and annoyed, she glared at me fiercely and whispered to me, I'll settle the score with you when we get back. Saying that, like a frightened rabbit, she covered her neck and bolted out of the ward without looking back. I'm going to the restroom! Inside the ward, only me and the furious Valerian remained. His pair of venomous eyes pierced me like daggers, wishing he could slice me into 1,000 pieces right now. Caspian! He gritted his teeth and said, before coming to the hospital yesterday, what exactly did you two do? I recalled that absurd scene in the office. I quickly played dumb. Nothing much! I threw my hands up, with a face full of innocence. Just exchanging dog training experiences. Valerian clearly didn't believe it. He thought I was intentionally showing off, intentionally acting mysterious. He snorted coldly. Then suddenly, as if he thought of something, he said disdainfully, Caspian, don't get cocky too early. Right now, she's just not tired of playing with you yet. I am the patient right now. I am the person Serafina cares about the most in her heart. Saying that, he purposefully glanced at the nightstand. At the bowl of hot soup medicine that was still steaming, he said, tell me, what if Serafina comes back later and finds me Before he could finish, I directly stole his lines. Finds you splashed with boiling hot soup medicine. She will definitely suspect that out of jealousy. I intentionally took revenge on you. Valerian froze, then smiled smugly. At least you have a bit of a brain. My heart felt a wave of speechlessness. This specific plot segment, I had experienced dozens of times front to back. I could predict what was going to happen next with my eyes closed. He would knock the bowl over himself, then hypocritically speak up for me, while actually framing me, confirming the fact that I attacked him, exploiting Seraphina's holy mother complex, making her believe it to be true and kicking me out. But I couldn't wait anymore. I couldn't let this idiot perform by himself. That efficiency is way too low. So, under Valerian's shocked gaze, I stepped forward and directly picked up that bowl of boiling soup. What are you trying to do? Valerian swallowed hard, looking at me in terror. I grinned widely at him. Giving you a hand, no need to thank me. After saying that, with a flick of my wrist, the entire bowl of steaming hot soup medicine, splash, landed solidly onto his legs. A scream like a slaughtered pig echoed throughout the entire VIP ward. Valerian was scalded so badly he leaped right off the hospital bed. He looked nothing like someone about to die from a heart condition. Seraphina, who had just returned from the restroom, happened to witness this brutal scene. She was stunned. She instinctively shouted at me, "Caspian, what is going on here?" I tossed the empty bowl in my hand, clapped my hands, turned around and calmly met her shocked gaze. Nothing. My hand slipped and I accidentally spilled the soup on Valerian. Why? I let out a cold laugh, staring right at Seraphina. Word by word, I said, because I'm jealous of him. I just can't stand seeing you treat him well. I find him an eyesore today. Either you tell him to get the hell out of here, or we go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and process the divorce certificate right now. You choose. Valerian, who was screaming from being scalded, forgot about the pain when he heard this. Although he hated my guts, he could only force his anger down and cooperatively play the role of his kind, innocent white moonlight. He clutched his red, scalded thigh, and with a painful expression said to Seraphina, "Seraphina, don't put yourself in a tough spot. Let me leave. I am a dying man anyway. I can't let my presence affect your marriage with Mr. Caspian." He spoke with such grievance, with such magnanimity. Perfect, finally back on track. Seraphina should now go register for a divorce with me. On the side, Valerian also shot me a smug smile, clearly thinking Seraphina would definitely stop him, and then fiercely condemn my evil deeds and sever all ties with me. However, Seraphina just looked at me silently for a few seconds, then nodded her head. "All right, I will do as you wish." In the next moment, she turned her head and instructed the nurse who had rushed over upon hearing the noise. "Please go process the hospital transfer paperwork for Mr. Valerian right now." As soon as her words fell, Valerian was completely dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded too. "Seraphina." Valerian still wanted to say something, but Seraphina cut him off directly. Her tone carried an unquestionable urgency. "You should leave quickly, otherwise." She paused, turned her head to look at me, and with a gaze actually carrying a hint of dotage, she said, "My hubby is going to get jealous." Hearing that title, I suddenly choked on my own saliva, coughing violently several times. Hubby? In the past 99 strategy runs, this was the very first time Seraphina actively called me that. After all, according to the original plot, there was no substantial emotional foundation between Seraphina and me. Even though we got married early on, it was only because I coincidentally saved her life in a car crash, and she happened to need a husband to build a public persona, to push her company into the marriage and maternity market. So we married due to pure coincidence. Normally, when we interacted, we only referred to each other by name. Even in public, we never called each other hubby or wifey. This is exactly why, even though we were already married, the system still required me to conquer the female lead. I didn't expect that now, Seraphina actually acknowledged my identity as her husband. She even preferred transferring her white moonlight out of my sight, rather than getting a divorce certificate with me. Could she have actually fallen in love with me? But on the system's end, there was no notification sound declaring mission success. I sighed. This plot has gone completely off the rails to who knows where. I can only let it run its course. On the side, Valerian was completely driven mad with anger. He pointed at me, his lips trembling, but he couldn't utter a single word. Finally, he could only use his lips to silently mouth a vicious threat to me. "You just wait. I absolutely will not let you off the hook." Soon, supported by the nurses, he reluctantly left the ward. After he left, only Seraphina and I remained in the ward again. Seraphina sighed softly, walked up to me, raised her head to look at me and asked, "Well, are you satisfied now?" Her voice was full of dotage, yet carried a hint of helplessness. I spoke the truth, not satisfied. If we could go register for a divorce right now, that would be the best. Hearing my words, Seraphina didn't get angry at all. Instead, she smiled helplessly. She took out a tissue and helped me wipe away a stain on my sleeve, which had accidentally splashed onto me when I threw the hot soup earlier. Caspian, I admit. In the past, there were indeed many things I didn't do well enough, and I didn't have enough patience to try and understand your inner thoughts. I was too impulsive, too arbitrary, and did many things that hurt you. From now on, I will use concrete actions to make it up to you. She raised her eyes, looking at me seriously. Word by word, she said, "So, don't say those angry words anymore. I will never divorce you." In this instant, looking at the gentleness practically overflowing from her eyes, I fell into a daze. My heartbeat even skipped a beat. But quickly, I snapped awake. This kind of smooth sailing opening isn't like it never happened during the previous 99 strategies. There were even a few times where Seraphina's affection meter toward me reached 90%, but no matter how the process went, in the end it couldn't defeat that damn protagonist's plot armor. Due to some misunderstanding or frame-up, it always ended in a miserable divorce, so I cannot let my heart be moved, absolutely cannot. On the side, Serafina saw me not speaking for a long time, looking completely demoralized. She probably thought I didn't believe her determination. She was silent for a moment, seemingly organizing her words. Right at this moment, the phone in her pocket suddenly vibrated. She took it out and glanced at it. Her eyes instantly lit up. "Caspian, wait for me here for a moment. I have an urgent matter to deal with. I'll be right back." After saying that, she stepped into her high heels and hurriedly left the ward. I watched her silhouette disappear at the end of the hallway. I was too lazy to guess what she was going to do. Anyway, she can do whatever she wants, as long as it doesn't delay my divorce. I paced around the ward out of sheer boredom, my brain spinning rapidly, calculating the feasibility of the next divorce plan. How about I try having an affair? No, the risk is too high. What if Serafina snaps and chops me up? What then? Then I'll pretend to rack up massive gambling debts. That doesn't seem to work either. With her current attitude, there's an 80% chance she'll think, my husband's debt is my debt, and silently help me pay it all off. Just as I was racking my brains, but couldn't find a single solution, a sarcastic voice suddenly came from behind me. "If it isn't Vice CEO Caspian, why are you here all alone?" I turned around. Well, what a coincidence. It was actually an old acquaintance, the former male assistant Florian. At this moment, most of the injuries on his body had healed, but his left arm was still in a sling, wrapped in a thick cast. Seeing only me alone in the ward, coupled with the news of Valerian being transferred, a look of sudden realization instantly appeared on his face. "What? Did Serafina kick you out? Tsk! I told you long ago, you can't compete with Valerian, and you definitely can't compete with me. Now you know who the ultimate winner is, right?" Hearing this, I was rendered speechless. I wish nothing more than for him to win quickly, to make Serafina go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and process the divorce immediately. Then the system could declare my strategy a failure and pack me right up to go home. Thinking of this, I nodded my head vigorously. My attitude was extremely sincere. Okay, you're awesome. You're amazing. Then please hurry up and make CEO Serafina divorce me. I'm begging you. Really?" The smile on Florian's face instantly froze. He probably didn't expect this reaction from me. His whole face twisted from anger, looking like a color palette. "Caspian, stop being sarcastic here. Do you think having the title of husband makes you a big deal?" I couldn't help but roll my eyes internally, so Florian thought I was mocking him. "I'm more wrong than Dewey in the play. Bro, it's coming from the bottom of my heart. Is there anyone in this world who wants to divorce Serafina more than me?" In the next moment, as if to salvage his own ego, Florian suddenly changed the subject. "Caspian, stop being so smug. Are you wondering why Serafina suddenly left just now? Want to know what she went to do?" I instantly perked up. I leaned over with a face full of anticipation and asked, "Could it be she went to find you?" Florian tilted his chin up, then pointed out the window to the area below the hospital. "Pretty much. See that? Although Serafina cut ties with me on the surface and doesn't even reply to a single message, that was all just a show for you. In her heart, I am still there. That is the love hidden deep within her heart." I followed the direction of his finger. In the hospital garden downstairs, Serafina was indeed standing there, holding an exquisitely packaged jar in her hands. It looked like some high-end nutritional supplement. Florian became even more smug. "See that? That's a supplement she specially asked someone to air freight from abroad. Tens of thousands of bucks a bottle, just to help my body recover." She doesn't say it, but physical actions speak louder than anything. "Caspian, this is the surprise she's preparing for me. If you don't want to be a third wheel, be smart and roll out of here yourself. Save yourself from getting sick from anger." I nodded continuously in agreement. "I'll roll out right now." I wished I could grow wings and fly away instantly, leaving the space for him and Serafina. May all lovers in the world eventually become spouses, and may I get divorced early and return to my world. I turned around and prepared to slip away, afraid I would interrupt Serafina giving Florian his surprise. But before I could even take 2 steps, a clear, cold voice rang out behind me. "Caspian, why did you run off here?" Serafina actually caught up this quickly. "Simply incredible," Florian immediately snorted coldly. Using a voice only the two of us could hear, he mocked. "Hear that? Told you not to come. You brought this humiliation upon yourself." Serafina really did come looking for me. He straightened his collar, smiled gently, then reached out his hand. "Serafina, it's enough that you came. Why buy such expensive?" But before Florian could finish speaking, Serafina didn't even look at him. She completely ignored him, walked right up to me, and then, without another word, directly shoved that heavy jar of supplements she was holding into my arms. "Really? I told you to wait for me where you were. Why did you run around? Made me search for you for ages. Here, these are supplements I specially asked a friend to buy from abroad to nourish your body. Remember to take it twice a day on time. It will help your body recover." In an instant, the smug look on Florian's face transformed into a massive capital-lettered look of pure confusion. I was dumbfounded too. I looked down at this incredibly expensive thing in my arms, then looked up at Serafina, my face full of question marks. "For me? Are you sure you didn't give it to the wrong person? It's not for Florian?" Serafina finally noticed Florian in the corner. Her gaze instantly turned cold, as if looking at irrelevant garbage. "Why would I give it to him? Pure waste of money." After saying that, she didn't spare Florian another glance. She turned her gaze back to me, her tone becoming gentle again. I heard Auntie Zhang, your neighbor from across the hall, say that when you were young, you suffered a severe injury and underwent major surgery. Your constitution isn't good. Of course I have to nourish you properly. This way," she paused. The roots of her ears suddenly flushed red. She stammered, "This way our future children can be healthy." I was instantly half-choked to death by my own saliva, looking at her with utter disbelief. "What the heck? Children? I didn't hear that wrong, did I?" Seeing my huge reaction, Serafina thought I didn't believe her. She nodded seriously and added, "Yeah, if you don't nurse your body back to health, how am I supposed to have children with you in the future?" I instantly suspected if the system got Serafina's character settings completely wrong this time. Oh my mother, this plot collapses so fast even a rocket couldn't catch up. Just a few days ago she was screaming at me asking why I framed someone. Now she's actually considering having kids with me. And after hearing Serafina's plan to have a child with me, Florian's face couldn't just be described as ugly anymore. It was as twisted and complex as the chemical composition of the Ganges River. After a moment, he gritted his teeth and threatened in a low voice, "Caspian, you're intentionally showing off your affection in front of me. You just wait. I won't let this go." Dropping this classic loser's declaration, he stormed furiously out of the hallway. Watching his wretched retreating back and looking at the supplements in my arms, I felt my head expanding. I raised my head to look at Serafina and asked carefully, about the having kids thing, you're not serious, right?" A blush still lingered on Serafina's cheeks. She turned her head away, avoiding my gaze, cleared her throat, then explained, "I just couldn't stand his self-righteous attitude. I did it to make him mad, but nourishing your body is true. Of course, if you really want to have a child as soon as possible." Hearing this, I immediately cut her off. All right. Let's hurry home. I don't want to stay in this hospital for another second." By the time Serafina and I got home, it was already very late. A whole day of pointless effort. My heart was tired. My body was tired too. I couldn't be bothered to argue with Serafina anymore. I just wanted to sleep, to avoid any more accidents. This time I specifically chose the study, because there was only a tiny single bed in there that could barely fit one person. Right after taking a shower, I hurriedly went back to the study to sleep. But just as I lay down, there was a knock on the study door. My heart skipped a beat. I pretended not to hear it. The person outside the door seemed very patient and knocked twice more. I still wanted to pretend I didn't hear it. "It's me, Caspian. Are you asleep?" Serafina's voice came from outside. "I'm asleep. Go back quickly." The moment I spoke, the door handle started to turn. In the next second, Serafina, disregarding all rules of engagement, used the spare key to open the door. She'd also just taken a shower. She was wearing a silk nightgown, her wet hair draped over her shoulders. An unnatural flush colored her face. I looked at her in shock and warily shrank back into the corner of the bed. "What are you doing here?" Serafina looked at me. Blushing, she said with absolute righteousness. "What else could I be here for?" I was shocked. I looked her up and down, my face full of disbelief. "No way, CEO Serafina. You are a billionaire, and you're thirsting after the body of a low-level employee like me." I paused, then put on an expression of facing death with equanimity. "Fine, I guess. But let's make a deal. After we're done, first thing tomorrow morning, we go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register for a divorce." As I spoke, I hurriedly pulled the blanket up, wrapping myself even tighter, only leaving my eyes exposed. Looking like a chaste and pure maiden terrified of having her innocence tarnished by her. Serafina was actually amused by my ridiculous appearance. She walked over, put her hands on her hips and glared down at me. "Caspian, please get this straight. Clearly it's you who is taking advantage of me." I curled my lips. "If you don't agree, forget it. I happen to be sleepy." "I'm going to sleep," I said, preparing to roll over. But Serafina grew anxious. She actually lunged right at me, once again forcefully pinning me down. Early the next morning, I supported my poor waist that felt like it was about to snap. Climbing out of bed, the very first thing I did was urge the woman beside me, who was sleeping like a dead pig. "CEO Serafina, a person must keep their word. To the Civil Affairs Bureau. Let's go." Serafina woke up with a start. Hearing my words, her eyelids twitched. Then she pulled the blanket over her head, rolled over and went back to sleep. Did I say that? I think I drank too much last night. I don't remember. Serafina the dog, playing dumb with me again. I was instantly speechless. Drank too much? Serafina, a person who rarely even touches a drop of alcohol normally, tells me she drank too much? Not to mention there wasn't a single trace of alcohol scent on her yesterday. A perfectly fine iceberg female CEO. How did she learn to use rogue tactics just to avoid a divorce? Her character persona is completely destroyed. Just as I was about to retort and expose her lie, this time her phone rang again with impeccable timing. She answered the phone groggily, but after listening to just a few sentences, she suddenly sat bolt upright in bed, her complexion changing drastically. "What? Okay, I understand. You control the situation first, Caspian, and I will be right there." She hung up the phone, looking at me with a heavy expression. "Get dressed. Come with me to the company. Something huge happened at the company." Hearing this, my face instantly lit up with joy. Serafina's company is a solid Fortune 500 enterprise. Little squabbles wouldn't be enough to make Serafina this agitated. The only thing that could make an iceberg CEO like her panic was one thing. Florian's ultimate plotline has finally arrived. This time, whether Serafina wants to or not, she must go and get that divorce certificate with me. Serafina and I quickly rushed to the company. Downstairs, it was currently a complete mess. A massive crowd of people had blocked the main entrance of the Lu Corporation so tightly that not even water could seep through. countless reporters, with their long and short camera lenses and microphones, aimed right at the company gates. There was also a group of agitated suppliers and project partners, holding up banners, shouting slogans for the Luo Corporation to pay up and punish the criminals. I spotted that familiar silhouette in the corner of the crowd with one glance. Florian! He was hiding in an inconspicuous spot, wearing a dark, sinister smirk on his face. And this was Florian's ultimate killing move, borrowing a knife to kill someone, in order to completely kick me out of the company, so he could usurp my position and become Serafina's husband. Months ago, Florian had already started scheming. In the projects I was in charge of, he secretly took kickbacks from clients under my name. He even used his authority as an assistant to alter my design plans, intentionally leaving several safety loopholes. Waiting until the truth was exposed, after a severe safety accident occurred at one of the company's construction sites, he would actively whistleblow on me, completely ruining my reputation. To stabilize the company's stock price and appease the public, Serafina would also divorce me and cut ties, and he, Florian, would become the pillar of the company in one fell swoop, the great hero defending justice in everyone's eyes. During the previous 99 rebirths, Florian had once used this exact trick, successfully making Serafina completely disappointed in me, making her actively divorce me 23 times, causing me to fail my strategy 23 times. He is truly a massive contributor to my divorce history. Right now, the moment the reporters and angry crowd saw Serafina and me stepping out of the car, they broke through the security line. They swarmed us. In an instant, countless camera flashes blinded my eyes. Mr. Caspian, may I ask about the rumors online that you severely falsified the Imperial Garden project to take kickbacks, resulting in major safety issues during construction? Is this true? Mr. Caspian, how do you view this incident? Did the upper management of the Luo Corporation implicitly approve of your actions? Do such behaviors exist extensively in other projects of the Luo Corporation? Mr. Caspian, how does your wife, CEO Serafina, view this scandal? Will the Luo Corporation cover up for you? These reporters' questions were sharper than the last. Clearly, Florian, along with other competitor companies, were guiding public opinion behind the scenes, wanting to expand this safety incident to the Luo Corporation itself, to destroy the reputation the Luo Corporation built over many years in one blow. Serafina's face was deathly pale. She grabbed me, wanting me to go inside the company to avoid the heat. Caspian, you don't have experience with this. You go inside first. I'll handle things here. But in the next moment, I shook off her hand. Avoid what heat? This is my final hope of going home. Under Serafina's shocked gaze, I pushed through the crowd and walked straight into the very center of the mob. The reporters swarmed forward instantly, surrounding me tightly. And I, facing the cameras, took a deep breath, then let out a calm smile. Yes, everything said online is true. Falsifying projects, cutting corners on materials, taking kickbacks, it's all my fault. It was all done by me alone. I am guilty. The moment my words fell, the previously noisy crowd actually fell dead silent. Almost everyone looked at me with absolute disbelief, seemingly not anticipating that not only did I choose to confront this matter directly, I didn't even look for a single excuse or a single reason. I directly admitted my crimes in public. Serafina's originally anxious face lost every trace of blood at this moment. She looked at me in disbelief. Caspian, are you crazy? Do you know what you are saying? This isn't a normal accident. It's very likely you'll spend the rest of your life in jail. And in the corner of the crowd, the instigator, Florian, was clearly surprised too. Having played through this 99 times, I knew very well he had prepared a bellyful of arguments and excuses. He even specifically hired people to gather fake evidence, just to publicly hammer me to death in front of the reporters this time. But I confessed without even being prompted. He's probably still wondering right now, why did I self-destruct before he even exerted any effort? Just as Florian's pig-brain CPU was about to fry, Serafina couldn't sit still anymore. She rushed in front of me, snatched the microphone, and with red eyes explained to the crowd, I am deeply sorry. Caspian is currently emotionally unstable. His mind might not be clear. Please disregard what he just said. That was just... But before Serafina could finish, I interrupted. I am very clear-headed right now. I reiterate, everything is true. All the problems were caused by me alone. I am willing to take full responsibility for this incident. Serafina's eyes widened instantly. She tightly grabbed my arm and questioned, Impossible, Caspian! You're speaking nonsense. Just for that tiny bit of kickback money? You don't lack money at all. How could you take the risk of going to jail just for money? My heart skipped a beat. Crap! I accidentally forgot this detail. After all, I am currently the vice CEO of the Luo Corporation, holding company shares, earning a 7-figure annual salary, driving a BMW, living in a villa, and I have a billionaire CEO wife. Saying I risk jail time for a measly $1 million or $2 in kickbacks, indeed. It somewhat insults people's intelligence. No, I absolutely must carry this blame. This is the perfect opportunity for a public divorce. My brain spun rapidly and instantly came up with an absolutely brilliant excuse. I looked at Serafina and said in a hoarse voice, Money? Who told you? I did it for money. I violently shook her off, freeing myself from her grasp. Taking a step back, I widened the distance between us. I pointed at the Luo Corporation's towering skyscraper, and with an almost maniacal tone, announced loudly, I, Caspian, am a commercial spy sent by the Luo Corporation's competitors. My goal was never about money. It was to destroy the Luo Corporation. To destroy you, Serafina! As soon as these words came out, the crowd exploded once again. If taking kickbacks and causing a safety accident was merely an internal corporate safety issue, then involving a commercial spy completely changed the nature of the situation. Moreover, this commercial spy was the nominal husband of Serafina. This news was way more stimulating than cutting corners on a project. Mr. Caspian, can you reveal which company sent you as a mole? Mr. Caspian, was your safety accident also an action instructed by the company backing you? Mr. Caspian, was your previous marriage to CEO Serafina also your method to infiltrate the Lu Corporation? For a moment, the reporters went crazy, frantically asking me a million questions, trying to pry more exclusive inside scoops from my mouth. Serafina was completely stunned too. She looked at me, her face full of disbelief. Her eyes even carried a trace of being hurt. In the corner, Florian also snapped back to reality. Although the process was a bit convoluted, the results seemed even better. His eyes rolled, and he immediately put on a heartbroken expression. Squeezing out of the crowd, he hypocritically shouted at me, "Vice CEO Caspian, how could you do such a thing? CEO Serafina treated you so well. How could you betray her? Betray the company? Right now is the critical period for the company's transformation and upgrade. Doing this, what will happen to the company's stock price and its future development?" While shouting, he inconspicuously signaled to several men in suits nearby. Those gentlemen were the shareholders and board members of the Lu Corporation. Sure enough, the faces of those board members instantly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Normally, they didn't involve themselves in specific project management, but this time things had blown up so big, it even severely affected the company's stock price and their future dividend income. They couldn't just sit by and watch anymore. Soon, a bald old man pointed at Serafina and started cursing. "Serafina, look at the fine husband you found, inviting a wolf into the house. The stock price is already dropping. If we don't think of a solution soon, the company will be ruined by a love-struck fool like you." Another fat board member chimed in. "Exactly. The only solution right now is to immediately sever all ties with him, hold a press conference, divorce him, and send him to jail. Otherwise, the Lu Corporation's 20-year reputation and the life's work of your late parents will all be ruined." In an instant, the shareholders and board members were riled up, spit flying everywhere, constantly pressuring Serafina to sever ties with me. Surrounded in the middle, Serafina's face was as pale as paper. Standing in the eye of the storm, my heart was blooming with joy. "Steady! This wave is absolutely locked in. I know Serafina too well. To successfully conquer her, I memorized the female lead's biography provided by the system, which was thicker than a dictionary. I know everything, down to how many times she wet the bed at age 3. She is a woman who severely lacks a sense of security and views her career as her entire life. Most crucially, this company is the only life's work and memento left behind by her parents, who died in a car crash early on. When her parents died in that unexpected crash, the company was leaderless. Young as she was even temporarily stripped of her power, enduring endless ostracization and suppression. It was her who spent a full 8 years enduring hardships, taking it step by step from those old foxes to take back control of the company, and brought the Lu Corporation to the heights it is at today. Saying the Lu Corporation is her life's blood and reliance is absolutely no exaggeration. Right now I, this commercial spy, have severely threatened the company's survival. Give up the company? Or give up me, this husband? This multiple choice question is not even a question for her. Thinking of this, I was already full of confidence. I was even starting to calculate whether to go eat hot pot to celebrate, or go home and play games all night with the boys. Once I get my divorce certificate and return to my world, I waited for half the day. The expected fine we're divorcing from Serafina's mouth still hadn't appeared. Under the pressure of the shareholders and board members, Serafina remained silent for a long time. After quite a while, she slowly raised her head, pushed away the board members surrounding her, and walked step by step until she was right in front of me. Just when I thought she finally made up her mind to give me a slap and divorce me publicly, in the next moment, Serafina suddenly reached out and tightly held my hand. Her hands were very cold, even trembling slightly, but she held on incredibly tight, as if afraid I would slip away in the next second. I raised my head in surprise, only to see those bloodshot eyes of hers, missing the previous panic and confusion, replaced by a kind of deep affection I had never seen before. Caspian is Serafina's husband. I believe in his character. No matter what happens, I will not give up on him, and I certainly will not divorce him. As soon as Serafina's words fell, the entire scene once again fell into an eerie silence. Everyone looked at Serafina like she was an idiot. I violently turned my head to look at her, suspecting if there was something wrong with my ears. What did Serafina mean by this? At this time, shouldn't she bitterly denounce me, then righteously place duty above family, and tearfully execute me? Instead, she's holding my hand saying she believes me? What kind of ghost operation is this? I already admitted I am a commercial spy. Sure enough, Serafina's attitude quickly provoked public outrage. Crazy. CEO Serafina is absolutely crazy. This is blatantly covering up for a criminal. What covering up? I think they are actually accomplices in the first place. Birds of a feather. Boycott the Lu Corporation. Such a black-hearted company. Must be bankrupted. The board members were also driven mad with anger, pointing at Serafina and roaring, "Dismiss her. We will convene a board meeting right now to dismiss her position as chairperson." I was also a bit confused. I couldn't help but lean into Serafina's ear, frowning and asking her, "What the hell are you doing? Hurry up and cut ties with me. Do you not want your company anymore?" But Serafina squeezed my hand even tighter with a backhand grip. She turned her head, looking at me with shimmering tears. "You idiot! I know you are not that kind of person. You must have been framed. You just didn't want to implicate me. Didn't want to implicate the company. So you wanted to shoulder everything all by yourself. I understand. I understand everything. I will absolutely not let you bear all of this alone. I was speechless. Sis, isn't your imagination a bit too wild? I truly just want to go home. In the distance, Florian's defenses also completely broke. He hurriedly rushed over and roared at Serafina. Snap out of it. The company is the only thing the chairman and madam left for you. How can you, for a man like this, throw away your parents' life's work? But Serafina couldn't even be bothered to look at him. She merely shook her head, her gaze constantly landing firmly on me. If the company is gone, it can be earned back. If he is gone, she paused and took a deep breath. No. Seeing this farce developing in an uncontrollable direction, suddenly, a car abruptly parked at the company entrance. The car door opened. A man wearing a white suit, even specially painted with a layer of foundation to look weak, stepped out of the car. It was Valerian. Seeing him arrive, hope ignited in my heart once again. Valerian was clearly prepared. As soon as he got out, he headed straight for the reporters, wearing a trace of sorrow on his face. Friends from the media, I am Serafina's old childhood friend. I know, Caspian is Serafina's husband. Logically speaking, family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. But this matter has severely endangered the Lu Corporation and the interests of the common people. I can no longer sit by and watch, he sighed pretentiously, then took out a document folder from his briefcase and held it high. I have here evidence of Caspian receiving massive bribes from the Great Orange Corporation. Through overseas connections, I found the Swiss bank account he used to receive the transfer. The evidence is ironclad. While speaking, he threw a smug glance at me, wanting to see my panicked appearance. But internally, I was frantically giving him a thumbs up. Beautifully done, bro. Hurry up. Smash that evidence right in my face. Let me die. I beg you. In the next moment, as if reading my mind, Valerian immediately opened the folder and displayed that printed bank statement in front of all the cameras. Look, everyone, it's this exact account. Half a year ago, a sum of $5 million was transferred from a shell company of the Great Orange Corporation into this account. The reporters' cameras immediately swarmed over, but soon a bald board member of the Lu Corporation suddenly let out an, wait a minute, this account looks a bit familiar. He adjusted his glasses and leaned in for a closer look. Wait, isn't this the anonymous account Florian commissioned to set up for that overseas project previously? As soon as these words came out, for a moment, everyone's gaze whooshed and gathered onto the deathly pale Florian nearby. At this moment, Florian only felt his entire body go ice cold. Cold sweat instantly soaked his back. He couldn't dream in a million years that originally Caspian had already confessed his crimes himself. Where did this idiot come from to actually dig up his anonymous overseas bank statement and backstab him with it? Serafina also reacted. She turned her head violently and looked at Florian icily. Florian, what exactly is going on here? I believe the Lu Corporation has treated you well. Why did you do this? Even going as far as to frame Caspian. Seeing himself instantly become the target of public criticism, Florian completely panicked. He pointed at Valerian and me incoherently and began his dying struggle. It wasn't me, it was him. It must be the two of them conspiring together, finding someone to forge evidence to frame me. Valerian is definitely an accomplice Caspian found. They want to shift the blame onto me. Hearing this, Valerian, being accused as an accomplice, now pointed at his own nose with a face full of question marks. He came here to utterly destroy Caspian. How did he become his accomplice? With such a clumsy lie, Serafina clearly couldn't bear to listen anymore either. In the next moment, she walked briskly to Florian, raised her hand and slapped him hard across the face, looking at him with profound disappointment. I truly regret ever letting you enter this company in the first place. For the rest of your life, you can slowly repent in prison. After saying that, Serafina directly called the police. In a short while, the sound of police sirens approached from afar. Soon, several police officers rushed in. After confirming the details of the case, they directly handcuffed the ashen-faced Florian. Florian, you are suspected of occupational embezzlement, commercial espionage, as well as malicious defamation. Come with us. Florian was taken away by the police just like that. Before leaving, he still glared venomously at me and Valerian, as if wanting to swallow us alive, and the police officer also seemed to remember something. He walked up to a bewildered Valerian and shook his hand warmly. Sir, thank you. The crucial evidence you provided immense help in cracking our case. As he spoke, a police officer brought out a bright red pennant from behind and solemnly shoved it into Valerian's hands. On the pennant, 4 large, bold words were written, "Heroic Champion of Justice." Following that, the officer even pulled out $500 bills from his pocket and shoved them into Valerian's hand. This is a $500 reward for you. Take it! Don't mind how little it is. It's just a token of our appreciation. Valerian, holding the pennant and clutching those $500, was completely dumbfounded. He originally wanted to hammer me to death, step over my corpse, and return to Serafina's side in the posture of a savior. How did he not hammer me to death, but instead became my savior? He even received a commendation from the police. This is simply a humiliating disgrace. On the side, Serafina looked at his constipated expression. She held back a laugh, coughed lightly. Valerian, thank you for saving my hubby's life." Listening to Serafina's finishing blow, Valerian only felt a sweet metallic taste in his throat. Almost spitting out a mouthful of blood, he glared at me dead on, lowered his voice, and using a volume only the two of us could hear, he gritted his teeth and threatened, "Caspian, don't get cocky. Consider yourself lucky this time, but it won't be long. Your good luck will completely run out." After saying that, he directly threw the pennant onto the ground, got into his car without looking back, and floored the gas pedal to leave the scene. unwilling to accept any follow-up interviews. A farce, thus concluded. Having gotten their explosive news, the reporters dispersed in satisfaction. As for the board members, afraid of clashing with Serafina, they hurriedly took advantage of the crowd and slipped away quietly. The crowd of onlookers also gradually dispersed. Downstairs at the company, very quickly, only Serafina and I remained. Before I could react, she suddenly reached out and heavily punched my back. I was knocked off balance and looked back in surprise. "Serafina, are you having a fit?" But in the next moment, I saw her eyes were red. Large teardrops rolled down her cheeks one after another. While crying, she used her fists to punch me. "Caspian, you jerk! Do you think you're a big hero? Do you think you're so cool? Why did you try to bear it all alone? Why didn't you tell me? We are husband and wife. Did you ever consider, what if I really believed it? What if no other evidence was found, and you really got taken away?" Serafina cried so hard it was like a pear blossom bathed in rain, gasping for breath. Looking at her sobbing appearance, my breathing hitched. Is this still the Ice Mountain female CEO Serafina in my memory? This seems to be the very first time she displayed such a fragile side in front of me, looking at her red, teary eyes. My heart, which had become as hard as iron for the sake of going home, actually loosened up just a tiny bit. But I quickly calmed myself down. "No, Caspian, you must hold the line. Don't forget, that bastard Valerian is still hopping around out there." Based on the experience of the past 99 times, that guy still has one final killing move. An ultimate killing move that successfully insta-killed me a full 50 times, as long as he is still around. No matter what, it is impossible for me to conquer Serafina. And my premonition was indeed correct. Valerian's revenge came even faster than I imagined. The next day, seeing the company crisis resolved and my grand divorce scheme going up in smoke again, I was burning with anxiety. I decided I couldn't just sit and wait for death anymore. I had to take the initiative. I used the excuse of going out for a walk to relax. But in reality, I secretly went to consult my pre-contacted ace divorce lawyer to see if there were any other ways to get a divorce. But just as I turned a secluded corner on the street, pondering whether to hire an actress to fake getting caught in bed with me or to get Serafina to beat me up, to see which was more feasible, the back of my head suddenly felt an intense surge of pain. "Caspian, oh Caspian, your time of death has arrived." I only heard this single sentence. Then my vision went black, and I completely lost consciousness. I don't know how long had passed. I leisurely woke up, only to find myself tied securely to a pillar. Surrounding me was a desolate, uninhabited, deep forest. The air smelled of damp earth. Beside me, my fellow sufferer was also tied up. Valerian! He had woken up too, and was looking in terror at the fierce, masked thugs in front of us. But not only was I not panicking, I was actually excited, because this was Valerian's final trump card, the choose one of two scenario, by orchestrating a self-directed kidnapping drama, to force Serafina to face her true inner feelings under the most extreme circumstances in the previous 99 times. With almost no exceptions, Serafina always chose to save Valerian. Not far away stood a familiar silhouette. "Serafina!" At this moment, her eyes were red. She glared fiercely at the scarred kidnapper. Seeing I was awake, the scarred kidnapper sneered, walked over and bricked me without hesitation. "Awake?" He then looked at Serafina and laughed. "He's awake. Time to make your choice. These two men, one is your husband. One is your white moonlight. You can only save one." Hearing this, Serafina instantly clenched her fists, her gaze shifting back and forth between Caspian and Valerian. Seeing Serafina delaying her choice, the kidnapper seemed to have expected it. He let out a cold laugh, then took out 2 syringes from a leather case, waving them in front of me and Valerian. Inside these is a massive dose of tranquilizer. After injection, without an adrenaline shot to save you, in less than 10 minutes, you will die from acute heart failure. Saying that, he ruthlessly jammed one of the syringes into my arm. The icy liquid instantly rushed into my veins. He jammed the other one into Valerian's arm. After doing all this, he brought out a syringe filled with clear liquid. Unfortunately, there is only one shot of adrenaline. CEO Serafina, choose. Will you save your husband's life, or save your white moonlight's life? Serafina's face instantly turned deathly pale. "You are breaking the law. This is intentional murder." But the kidnapper couldn't care less. He glanced at his watch. "There isn't much time left. If you don't make a choice, then I can only watch helplessly as both of these people die." Valerian also began his performance. He looked incredibly weak. With a heartbroken expression, he shouted to Serafina, "Serafina, don't worry about me. My life is cheap anyway. It's better if I die. Hurry and save Caspian, to be able to die for you. I am willing." Listening to Valerian's deep affection drama, my heart was completely calm. I even wanted to laugh a little. I am way too familiar with Valerian's tricks. The shot he got in his arm wasn't any tranquilizer at all. It was just saline water. All of this was just to force Serafina to make a choice, to make her clearly see who she truly loved in her heart. Every single time before, Serafina would choose to save Valerian without any hesitation. Then, the system would declare my strategy a failure. GG! Even though the process was a bit painful, being able to go home made it worth it. But on the side, before Valerian could finish his affectionate lines, Serafina interrupted him. Without any hesitation, she told the kidnapper, "I choose Caspian. Give the adrenaline." 2 hymns. As soon as her words fell, both Valerian and I froze simultaneously. I never expected in a million years that Serafina would actually choose me this time, and without a shred of hesitation. Looking at my stunned expression, Valerian's deeply affectionate face became even more twisted. In the next moment, he simply dropped the act. Jumping up from the pillar in exasperated fury, he ripped the tape off his face, pointed at Serafina, and cursed loudly. "Serafina, Are you sick in the head? I put on such a huge show for you, and you actually chose him. I am your white moonlight. I am the one you should love. On what grounds did you choose him? At this moment, Valerian completely tore off his mask, revealing his true face. Serafina clearly never expected that all of this was actually a drama orchestrated by Valerian himself. For a moment, she asked in disbelief, "Why is it like this? Valerian, all of this was arranged by you. Why did you do this?" Valerian sneered coldly. "Why? Because this brat is shamelessly clinging to you, refusing to divorce you." My heart felt a wave of speechlessness. Bro, before you kidnap me next time, could you get your facts straight? I'm the one shamelessly begging for a divorce. She's the one who refuses to sign. I'm the one wishing I could leave early, okay? Serafina was already shaking with anger. "Valerian, you are breaking the law. Release him right now! Otherwise, if anything happens to him, your crimes will be compounded. You'll never get out in this lifetime. Release him?" Valerian acted as if he heard the funniest joke in the world. In the next moment, he snatched the only adrenaline shot straight from the kidnapper's hand, smiling menacingly at Serafina. "If I can't have you, no one will. I just want to make you. Watch him die with your own eyes." After saying that, he violently smashed the adrenaline shot onto the ground. Crash! The sound of shattering glass. My life-saving medicine was just gone like that. Valerian still wasn't satisfied. He roared at the kidnapper. "Kill this woman to silence her too. When it's done, I'll pay you double and send you abroad." But the kidnapper didn't make a move. Instead, he kicked Valerian right in the stomach, knocking him to the ground. "Screw you. I came here for money, not to be your hitman." He backhanded Valerian with a rope, tying him up solidly. "Originally, I only wanted to kidnap one. Now it seems all three of you are worth quite a bit. I'll kidnap all of you. 3 ransoms. Wouldn't that be sweet?" Valerian was dumbfounded. He didn't expect the person he hired with money would actually turn on him. For a moment, the kidnapper and Valerian fought like dogs, turning everything into a mess. Serafina took advantage of their infighting, ran to my side like a madwoman. Using a small knife hidden in her sleeve, she cut the ropes binding me and handed her phone to me. "Caspian, run quickly!" When I came, I secretly called the police. "They will be here soon. I'll hold them off." "You run, hurry." After saying that, she shoved me forcefully. I knew very well, if I ran now, I could definitely get away. As long as I ran away, when the drug's effect passed, I would be free. The system would declare my mission a failure, then send me home. This was the closest I had ever been to home. I could have run, but I turned my head, looking at the woman using her frail body to block the kidnapper, buying me time to escape. Thinking of the office, her obsessive and crazy kiss. Thinking of downstairs at the company, her holding my hand saying firmly, "I believe him." Thinking of the hospital ward the first time she called me hubby, with that doting look in her eyes, and just now, her choosing to save me without a second of hesitation. Scene after scene flashed through my mind like a fast-forwarded movie. "I give up. This round is just too cursed," I cursed in a low voice. In the next moment, not only did I not run, I turned around and charged right back. The tranquilizer in my body was already taking effect. Dizziness. My vision was starting to blur, but I couldn't give up. "Let her go." She was grabbed by her hair by the kidnapper. I used all the strength in my body, let out a massive roar. Like a crazed bull, I smashed fiercely into the kidnapper. Serafina finally managed to break free, but my resistance completely enraged the kidnapper. He immediately raised the crossbow lying nearby, aimed it right at me. "Damn it! No one is getting away today!" I hugged Serafina, not even daring to turn my head back, running desperately outward. But the crossbow bolt still hit its mark. But it wasn't me, it was Serafina. Serafina let out a groan of pain and instantly collapsed to the ground. And I, due to the tranquilizer, couldn't even manage to crawl up, just as Serafina and I were about to be dragged back. At this moment, the piercing sound of police sirens echoed through the entire mountain forest. The police finally arrived. Soon, the kidnapper and Valerian were all arrested, and Valerian finally got his karma. When he was pinned to the ground by the police, he was still acting like his heart condition was acting up, foaming at the mouth, twitching all over. As a result, the arriving paramedics thought he was really having a heart attack. Without a second word, they whipped out a spare adrenaline shot and injected it right into him. A perfectly healthy person, injected with a shot of adrenaline. The consequence was that he immediately went into shock on the spot. His legs kicked out, his heart rate exploded, and he died of sudden cardiac arrest right there. He died incredibly cleanly and efficiently, and Serafina and I were both loaded into the ambulance. When I regained consciousness again, I found myself lying in a hospital ward. My injuries weren't severe, but Serafina's heart was pierced. Through a thick layer of glass, I could see Serafina lying quietly on the hospital bed, her body covered in various tubes, the ECG monitor beside her beeping faintly. The doctors said Serafina's chances of surviving were very low. While spacing out, the system's notification sound rang in my head. Ding! Congratulations, host. Female lead Serafina's affection value has reached 100%. Life and death trial completed. Strategy mission successful. Now settling the reward for the host. Cash, 10 billion. Transferred immediately. Opening the portal back to the original world immediately. Portal opening countdown, 10-9. In the next moment, a swirling portal glowing with white light appeared in front of my eyes. On the other side of the door was my world. The world I waited 100 times for. All I have to do is step inside, and everything will be over. Host, please make your choice as soon as possible. The system's voice rang out again. I looked at the pale, bloodless woman on the hospital bed, and still hesitated. Take the money and go home. This was my only obsession throughout my 100 rebirths. But why? Now that I'm right at the threshold, I can't seem to move my legs. I closed my eyes. In my mind, her crying for me, laughing for me, risking her life for me all surfaced again. In the end, I still stopped my footsteps in front of the portal. The next day, Serafina woke up. The doctors all said it was a miracle. Not only did she wake up, her body's indicators also recovered incredibly fast. As if that dying person yesterday wasn't even her. Only I knew why. I didn't go home, and I didn't take that 10 billion either. I told the system to use all the rewards to save her. At this moment, she sat us on the hospital bed, quietly looking at me. I thought her brain was malfunctioning again, but in the next moment, she suddenly smiled at me. Caspian, I know everything. 100 times. You tried to conquer me for a full 100 times. The system's voice rang in my head. At the strong request of the female lead, I transmitted all the memories of the reincarnation loops to her. I was speechless. Holy macaroni, system, you absolute traitor. Snapping back to reality, Serafina was looking at me, her eyes slightly red. Thank you for firmly choosing me in the very end. I walked over to her bed, curled my lips, and playfully joked with feigned casualness. Don't thank me. You owe me 10 billion bucks right now, you know? Serafina froze for a second, then nodded her head seriously. Okay, I will work hard to make the company earn enough of that 10 billion to pay you back. But I shook my head, leaned down and kissed her lips. Forget it. No need to go through all that trouble. I'm a magnanimous person. Just give birth to a whole soccer team of kids with me, and we'll call it even.